The Conservative War Room did a little dirty business by leaking to a newspaper chain photos and reporting apparently that they were Michael Ignatieff in Iraq doing things he wasn't ever doing. What did you make about that, Martin? I mean, it was pretty extraordinary in some ways.
Well, what was extraordinary was that you had the owner of the organization writing a column explaining about how they looked into it, which has me baffled, because if that had come across my desk, I would have taken one look at it and dismissed it out of hand. It was so obviously nonsense.
Yeah, we got the photo up there. I mean, I didn't even think it looked that much like Mr. Ignatieff, a passing resemblance. But anyway, go ahead. What would you?
It was. I mean, you wouldn't. It wasn't. To me, it didn't look even remotely serious. I don't know why you would have to give it any more investigation.
You know, Santa hats, right?
Yeah. Well, the other thing is too, though, is the fact that the Prime Minister's office, or sorry, the former Deputy Chief of Staff in the Prime Minister's office put this forward. It really gets you wondering what they're thinking down there. Is this the same thing that led to Harper kicking out Georges over these crazy, unsubstantiated allegations, you know, of what she was up to? Is there some sort of strange conspiracy theories going on there? It's hard to understand what's.
What do you make of it all, Bill?
Well, the thing to remember too, though, is the Sun did go with the story on the front page. They didn't run the picture, but they ran a version of the material, which obviously now we know where it came from. So the onus is on them to explain that. We saw the Tories announced today that Muttart's not on the campaign anymore, but you know, I don't get too worked up about that. I mean, as reporters, you know, we get crazy stuff in war rooms all the time. It's up to the reporter to figure out, as Martin says, you know, that's a story, that's not a story. So the onus is on the Sun, I think, to explain this.
The bottom line is Patrick Muttart is a pretty credible source. I don't know if viewers might not know this guy, but he was considered the big brain of the PMO up till about a year and a half or two ago, and if he gave me something, I'd consider it probably pretty valid, and yet it was completely bogus. I don't know. I mean, what does that say about how the Conservatives' media relations ability goes, or media manipulation ability goes?
Yeah, well, I mean, it certainly lays bare the path between the Sun and the Conservatives, that they've been essentially printing talking points there. So they're going to have to.
Them's fighting words. What do you think about that, Martin?
Well, another thing I don't understand is, I mean, they're clearly tied quite closely. Obviously, they were doing this. They put this out there to show that there's this big, breach between the two, that they're not buddies. But it's such a strange story. It's hard to make heads nor tails of what it all means.